Hi guys, this is lesson 1 in unit 4. We are going to talk about solving systems of equations and inequalities graphically. First, let's take a look at the definition of a system of equations. A system of equations is a system of two or more equations to solve for two or more variables. The solution for a system of two equations is a point, x and y, that satisfies both equations. One of the methods of solving a system of equations is graphing. This is the first method that we're going to learn today. There are two other methods where we solve the system of equations algebraically, and we'll talk about these two methods later. So let's take a look at our first example where we have a system of two equations, y equals negative 2x minus 1 and 4x minus 2x equals 10. To be able to graph these two equations, I need the equations to be in the y equals mx plus b form. So if we look at the first equation, it's already in that form where m equals negative 2, which is the slope, and b, which is the y-intercept, equals to negative 1. And then if we take a look at the second equation, 4x minus 2y equals 10, we need to change the standard form of this equation to the slope y-intercept form. That's why I'm moving 4x to the other side. So by subtracting 4x from both sides, and then I'm going to end up with negative 2y equals negative 4x plus 10. Now, to be able to have y by itself, I need to divide by negative 2. And since I'm divided by negative 2, on the left side, I'm going to have to do the same thing on the right side. So I'm going to end up with y equals negative 4 over negative 2, that's 2x. And 10 divided by negative 2 is negative 5. So now this equation is then the slope y-intercept form. M, or the slope, equals to 2, and y is negative 5. So now I'm going to graph. I'm going to graph the first equation with the red color. I'm going to start at negative 1. That's the y-intercept. I need to use the slope to find another point. Since the slope is negative 2, that means I need to go down 2 units, 1 to the right, 2 units, 1 to the right, 2 units, 1 to the right. And then on the other side, I have to do the opposite, 2 up, 1 to the left, 2 up, 1 to the left. So I'm going to end up with a very nice line here that I can graph between these two, between the points. And I'm going to label my line y equals negative 2x minus 1. I'm going to graph my other line with green. The y-intercept is negative 5. And then I'm going to use the slope. I'm going up 2, 1 to the right, up 2, 1 to the right, up 2, 1 to the right. I'm going to keep going. The other way, the opposite way on the other side. So I'm going down 2, 1 to the left, down 2, 1 to the left. I'm going to end up with another line here. I'm going to name that line, which is y equals 2x minus 5. Now, if we look at this system, we have an intersection point between these two lines, and this intersection point is the solution for the system. This point is 1, -3, and 1, -3 is the point that satisfies both equations. And this is how we solve a system of equations graphically. Now let's take a look at how we can solve a system of inequalities this time. And we're going to solve this system of inequalities graphically. So we have a system of two inequalities. Y is less than or equal to 4x minus 1, and 2x plus y is greater than 5. So to be able to graph these inequalities, I need these inequalities to be in the slope by intercept format. So the first inequality is already in the slope by intercept form. M in this case is 4 and B is -1, which is the y-intercept. If we look at the second inequality, it's not in the slope by intercept form, it's in the standard form. For that reason, I'm going to change the standard form to the slope by intercept form by taking away 2x from both sides to have y by itself. I'm going to end up with y greater than -2x plus 5. Now, looking at this inequality, the slope is -2 and the y-intercept is 5. So let's take a look at how we can solve these two inequalities graphically. So I'm going to use the purple color for the first inequality. I'm going to start at -1, that's the y-intercept. I'm using the slope to find another point. I'm going up 4, 2, 3, 4 to the right 1, 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right 1, 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right 1. So far I have these 4 points. Doing the opposite on the other side. I'm going down 4 to the right 1, down 4 to the right 1. So since I have less than or equal to, that means I need to make a solid line between these points. So I'm going to make a solid line, and then since I have less than, I need to shade below the line, or where the y-axis point down. So in this case, the shaded area or the half plane for this inequality is going to be at this side, below the line. Now, this is called the shaded area, and the line here is called the boundary line. So every inequality has a shaded area and has a boundary line. Now, let's graph the second inequality. This is the shaded area for the first inequality, which is y less than or equal to 4x minus 1. Now I'm going to use the red color to graph the second inequality. Starts at 5. That's the y-intercept. I'm using the slope to graph another point. I'm going down 2 points, 1 to the right, down 2, 1 to the right, 1, 2 down, 1 to the right, 2 down, 1 to the right, 2 down, 1 to the right. And I'm doing the opposite on the other side. I'm graphing 2 up, 1 to the left, 2 up, 1 to the left, and 2 up, one to the left. So now I have another line here, but this line has to be a dashed line because I do not have equal sign with this inequality. So I'm going to make a dashed line or a dotted line. And the shaded area is supposed to be above the line since we have greater than. So when we have y is greater than, that means the y-axis should point to the top. So in this case, greater than is this side. So now the solution for this system of the two inequalities is the overlap between the half planes. So the overlap between the two half planes is going to be the solution for this system. So any point in this overlap area, I'm gonna highlight it with the letter S, because this area right here where the two half planes overlap, any point in this overlap area of the two half planes is a solution for the system. Any point in this area is a solution for the system of inequalities. And this is how we solve